This is the Sattler Files.
Welcome back. This is the Sports Files on the Sattler Files, joined as usual by Adrian Barich. How are you, Barra?
Yeah, how are you, mate? Good to speak to you, and still a bit going on. Exciting, isn't it, for AFL fans with a team that hasn't been in since 1954, or hasn't won one since 1954, only won one, and then a new team that's only been in the competition 2 seconds could be in the grand final. So it's a unique year, mate. It's good, isn't it good to have a bit of a change?
No, it is, mate. It's very exciting. And look, I'm on the bandwagon. I've got Ric Gloede opposite me today with his tie, and he's got the red, blue and white tie on. I don't know whether he's intentionally worn it for the doggies, but I'm on the bandwagon, mate. Hook, line and sinker.
Ric would be wearing it for his mate Brad Hardy, I think. But Ric's still commiserating, isn't he, with Peel Thunder Dockers?
Yeah,
yeah.
He's not happy about South.
About that yet?
Look, he's not. Did you go to the Sandover the other night?
I couldn't go, no, but obviously I followed very closely, given that I've played a lot of waffle myself, and it's a tremendous award. I wasn't sure if I wanted the Boar to win or not after only playing 12 games. It would have been quite a story, but the kid from Claremont Bolton, he looks all right. I was hoping with a Perth guy, Clint Jones would have got up about, I think he had like 100 more possessions than anyone in the AFL, so he had a monster year, but obviously I didn't win many games, so no chance there.
And you reckon Bolton, is he too old to get picked up by an AFL club, 24?
24, he was on Collingwood's list. He's not a world beater, I suppose, but you never know. The problem they've got now is I think there's something going to be like 200 players available in this off-season because of free agency and guys coming out of contract, and managers have been very smart. So I'm going to put it this way, guys like Barlow and that haven't been snapped up yet. So I'm tipping that Barlow's a better player, and I'll be taking Michael Barlow before the young fella. But I think it'll be tough. It'll be tough. Might be rookie listed somewhere again.
Geez, it's a silly season, isn't it? I was listening to SEN today, and the latest rumour going around is Dustin Martin from the Tigers to the Crows.
Yeah, well, there was some word that there was a monster offer from the Crows for Dustin Martin, but Mark Rasciuto scoffed at that, so he's on the board there, and he's their footy guy. So, yeah, I don't know. Dustin Martin probably thinks he's had a big year. Maybe he should get out. It's a tricky one. There's a lot of weird stuff going on at the moment because everyone's looking for an advantage, for an edge. Everybody knows that the Giants are going to be bloody hard to beat for the next 3 or 4 years.
Well, as we said, mate, Rory Lobb, why would he be leaving Greater Western? And as over the last month, it's calmed down, hasn't it? I mean, he'll stay there now for sure. Yeah,
and the same as, all of those guys. Fife's not going anywhere. Jesse Hogan, he'd be asking for 900 to 1.1, 1.2 mil a year. There's no club in the AFL that has that room in the salary cap to do that. That's why anyone who brings that up has got absolutely no idea. The Eagles don't have the room, and I doubt that Fremantle, even with having that going off, would have the room. So there's no chance of that. Maybe at the end of next year, if Sandy goes and a few others, they might be able to squeeze him in. But right now, no club in the AFL can afford Jesse Hogan. That's the bottom line. So hence, he'll be staying at Melbourne.
Well, he's not a bad player. He's from that great junior football club in the Claremont District, Morris Football Club, but he's not a Jonathan Brown or a Pav or anything, is he? He's never going to be as good as those two.
No, he's a good player, but you're right about the Morris production line there. And I saw he's in Perth at the moment. I saw that he was at the Trinity Aquinas versus Scarborough amateur final as well on the weekend. So obviously still supporting some of the local boys, and I think he's a real West Australian. So he would like to come back. I mean, ideally it'd be the Dockers, wouldn't it? Because the Eagles have got Kennedy and Darling and the rest of it, whereas Dockers haven't got anyone, and he would be the ideal fit. I mean, you'd have to ask Ric whether he'd be prepared to swap him for Nat Fyfe. I doubt it, but
I doubt that would happen.
It'd take something like that, wouldn't it?
Would it have to be something big? And is there anything else in the silly season that we need to know about? I mean, there's the Will Minson, the Petrie, those sort of things. Chris Mayne, 4 years to Collingwood. I mean, that would be an unbelievable deal for him. He's 27 years old. He hasn't had a great 2 years.
His manager's doing the hard yards there, but I think Richmond's in, North Melbourne. There's probably 4 or 5 Melbourne clubs. His missus wants to go to Melbourne. His missus is actually the guy I played footy with, Warren Nicholas from Perth.
Yep.
It might have been even a club champion. Very good player from Perth. It's his daughter.
Okay.
So, there's a real football connection there. I don't know what sort of money he'd get. The Dockers are sweating on what money he gets because based on his contract is what sort of compensation they get for free agency. And so they want to use that for Hill or for McCarthy. So they're hanging on that happening. And Ballantyne keeps saying, what about Ballantyne's manager, my mate Colin Young, coming out saying that Ballantyne wants to leave now because he wants to play in a premiership. And he wants to go to the Eagles. So Dockers fans are loving that one.
Oh, yeah. No, it'd be interesting to see if the Eagles fans like him. So that would be a very, very interesting call. But nothing's been done yet. Obviously, we wait for the end of the season. But I can say one thing, Barra, that, look, I like Brad Hill at Hawthorn, but I reckon if he comes across to the Dockers, there could be a touch of the Desi Headlands about him. Very good player in a premiership team. But when you're getting tagged, because you're in the top echelon of players, you're not going to be as good a player. And Desi, well, he found it hard over here, didn't he, compared to Brisbane?
Desi Headland and Lewis Jetto's the other one.
Yeah, of course.
I reckon. So, it's he's not the answer, that's for sure. But, you have a good player, triple premiership player saying, I want to come and play with my brother. You've got to go, okay.
And Barry, you had the scoop. How was the chat with Nick Nat?
Yeah, very good. He's going beautifully. Tomorrow he's catching up with his mate Daniel Ricciardo.
Yes.
So that'll be nice to see those two together. And, he's still on crutches. He's on crutches for like 2 months. That's how comprehensive the surgery was. So he ain't rushing back. And I reckon if he plays next year, late next year, he won't be the same bloke. He'll definitely be, you'd be talking 2018 to see Nick Nack to his best. So they really got a bit of a problem West Coast. Lycett had surgery today. I saw he posted a picture of himself. So he's got through. He should be back for next season, but they still need another ruckman. Hence, speculating on blokes like Drew Petrie and guys that will be prepared to take a 1-year deal. I reckon the guy they should get is the West Australian bloke at Geelong who can't get a look in with all their bigs there.
What, Mitch Clark? Ooh,
I reckon
okay.
They should try Mitch Clark for a year. He was super there for a while. Had a few mental health issues that he's dealing with, and but apparently, by all reports, over that as well. So I reckon he's the one that should have a crack at.
Good. And we'll just jump quickly to the waffle. I mean, Ric's, even though he's got his South Fremantle hat on, he's been very magnanimous and felt that Peel, it's just the way they fell the cards this season, that the Dockers weren't in the finals, so Peel had all their listed players. But, I'm a Subi man. I'll still go for Subi this weekend. I think it's going to be a great game of waffle footy. When they're saying that Mandurah, people won't come up and whatever, there'll be a lot of Dockers. There'll be a lot of purple in the crowd, I reckon, mate, and I believe it'll be a great game.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I was being surprised how people are talking it down and saying there'll be a record low crowd, around 10,000. I was thinking, jeepers, surely not. And a lot of it will depend on the weather. And sure, people won't come from Mandurah, but their Dockers fans will be there to say goodbye to almost certainly last Matt De Boer, Sendai Mzungu, perhaps Zach Clark even. There's going to be 3 or 4 blokes, perhaps Silvani if he goes. Maybe there's four Dockers players there that may not play again for the club. So, yeah, I reckon they should turn out in force. I think Ric is being very magnanimous, though, in saying that it's all fair and love and war, because clearly 17 AFL players and some blokes who played 15 games, like Subin and that is just not right. They've got to get the South Australian system going where they can, or maybe they need to play more games in the waffle, or they're only allowed to play X number of games for the AFL, or perhaps they need to play X number early in the season. But it's got to change. That's not a proper comp. It's just flooding back the AFL blokes and trying to win a flag because he had a Pooparama year. That's what's happened. So that definitely's got to change.
Well, Ric, as Ric said, it's simple. The Dockers win more games, make the finals, and there won't be the problem back at the waffle. Easy as done, But it didn't really work for East Perth, the alignment. It's not working out there, is it? No,
then you get the same problem last year where they had no Dockers playing in that final and got spanked.
Yeah, they got spanked.
The Dockers rested all their blokes. So, yeah, not ideal. I just hope Perth becomes the Eagles' second team now. They're going to Lathlane, and setting up there. Have you been to Lathlane? It looks completely different from when I played there.
So I believe.
Really sad in some ways, but, I guess that's the future. But the big trees have gone and the oval's been dug up, and at least the grandstand's still there. But, gee, it's a real changing face of footy over Lathlane, I can tell you.
Well, that's obvious. You'd have to make Perth the alignment club, wouldn't you? I mean, Lathlane, the whole thing. Rick's looking at me like I'm on drugs, but, it certainly just seems to be, a natural synergy that would work to me rather than East Perth.
Well, I know Bronte Howson's been a monster supporter of East Perth, and I think he might be mates with Rick, and I'm tipping that now he's out of AHG, that perhaps there won't be the same relationship with AHG, so it may be interesting times for East Perth. But if they do let the alignment go, they're going to have to recruit a lot of players.
Yeah.
That's the dilemma. The same for Peel. If Peel went away from that, I mean, what have they got? They've got nothing. They've got no local players. They've got like a handful, and their resis are Pauperama.
Yep.
And what are they going to do? So they have to completely rebuild the joint. So, yeah, a few things to be done there. But Rick is the man to do it if he's going to give advice to the Waffle, being a Waffle heavyweight, and hopefully he can pull it off.
Well, look out for the Tigers next year, mate. New coach, Darren Harris, well-credentialed. They'll recruit well, and they're going to have the best facility in the Waffle when they move into that revamped Claremont Oval. So I'm picking the Tigers to return to the top. Mossy's a winner, and I think you'll find. I mean, they got their Resis and the Colts in the grand final this weekend. So, yeah, Claremont will be back.
And they had the standover medalists, They underperformed. There's no question about it. So, Harris is a good coach, so they'll be sweet.
Good coach.
They'll be sweet.
Okay, Barrett, just before we go, are you going to have a bet on Patrick Dangerfield, or do you think he can be beaten in the Brownlow?
I think he's a lay-down misère. So I did hear that that the AFL's a bit worried about whether, this will shock you, whether Matt Prentice might be a challenger too.
You're joking.
The season they had and he had, and a proven vote winner. So you think Parker would be around the joint? Bontempelli.
Oh, Bontempelli, what a gun he is. He's a gun, Bontempelli.
The umpires have got any idea, it'll be Dangerfield.
Yep. Okay, Barrett, thanks for talking. Next week we'll speak as usual.
Good on you, mate. Great.
Thanks, buddy.
All the best.
Cheers. Okay.
This is the Sattler Files.
And welcome back. The Sports Files on the Sattler Files, joined by the doyen of the West Australian Football Commission, Ric Gloede. How are you, Rick?
Very well, thanks, Tim. Great weather after all this rain. Terrific today. Let's hope it goes into the footy on the weekend.
Well, I'm glad you sound well, mate, because I heard the unfortunate events of Monday night where you were crook with a chest cold and you couldn't present the medal at the Sandover Medal Night.
Weak as water, mate, but I just couldn't make it.
Well, I said to our producer, Despin, I said, gee, he must have been sick not to make it along. So my thoughts are with you now, but you sound better, so you've bounced back amazingly well in 48 hours.
Yeah, it's amazing what antibiotics can do, of course, Tim, and I'm very pleased to say that it was just an upper respiratory tract infection.
And you had an X-ray?
And had X-rays and everything, so
nothing there?
Sinister, and happy to get along with life.
Nothing there?
Nope.
Not even 2 lungs?
A couple of lungs.
Hey, listen, we don't want to talk about the AFL. Well, let's talk about Waffle, because it's the biggest weekend. We've had the Sandover the other night. As Barra said, great result. Jai Bolton from Claremont. Clinton Jones, the Perth lad, ex-AFL tagger, got second. And Matt De Boer, in only 12 games, was third. So that was an excellent result. And I believe you said your feedback is that was one of the best nights that the Waffle and indeed any football function in the state's seen.
Yeah, well, I spoke to Mal Brown during the week and asked him how he enjoyed the night, and he said it's the best medal count he's ever been to. He's usually bored to tears, and he said it was terrific, and it was a great result. Young Jai is obviously a 24-year-old, but from all accounts he's quite outstanding. A boy from Werribee, was listed and delisted by Collingwood. Maybe coming over here is a good thing for players like him, and they can take an example from people like Barlow, who got in there late and ended up with a great career. Let's hope that he can do something similar.
Well, the Sandover medal does have a huge... I mean, Kane Mitchell got drafted after he won it. Ballantyne got drafted after he won. Prudis. So it does have a bit of weighting into the powers that be in other clubs, I believe. 24, he's not young, but he's a good depth player. I mean, the Eagles had players like Kane Lucas this year as a depth player. Never cracked it for a league game, but I wouldn't be surprised if he gets rookie listed by West Coast or perhaps Fremantle. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I think that someone will look at him, maybe even Collingwood again, but because he is a Werribee boy. But I heard him on the radio, and he said if he doesn't get drafted, he's going to be doing what you were expecting Claremont to do, and that is to be with them and go with them into the final. And they might, with one of the other names that you just mentioned, be even stronger with Kane Mitchell if he comes back.
And Matt de Boer, if he's delisted by the Dockers, if he doesn't get picked by another AFL club, I think wants to come home to his parent Claremont club.
Yep.
Those three players, and then, as I said, the facility down at Claremont Oval, Rick, obviously you haven't seen it yet because it's in its embryonic stages, but it's going to be a magnificent facility.
Yes, I don't think they'll move into their premises next year. I think they play on the ground, but I don't think the premises will be ready till the following season. And just on that, people look at the waffle and think it's out of the 50s and 60s and so on. At the current time, you've got the new development at Claremont. You've got South Fremantle, East Fremantle probably moving back into Fremantle Oval as a joint tenant.
Yep.
And they lived there for 50, 60 years before East went out to Moss Street. So that's good. The Lathlane Park joint venture between Perth and the West Coast Eagles, the new Dockers facility. West Perth are building new facilities, and Swans have got planning approved through the council down there, and Subi and East Perth have merged not merged as teams, but both play at Leaderville, which is still one of our better ovals. So there's been a lot happening, and then on top of that, providing we can get a good deal, you've got the stadium. And Tim, I had a tour of the stadium, and people don't know what they're in for. It is magnificent.
Good. Just on that, Rick, excuse me for my ignorance, where will Perth play when...
They'll still play at Lathlane.
They'll still play at Lathlane.
Oh, yeah.
So even though the Eagles are going to put in two ovals, there's the training oval with the running track around it, then there'll be a main oval which Perth will be allowed to play on.
Yeah, I think Perth will play on the main arena that they've got now. Yeah, that's the same as South Fremantle played at Fremantle Oval when the Dockers were there.
Well, they haven't won a premiership since 1977 with great players like Wim Rosbender and Ken Inman, Colin Lofts.
Yep.
Oh, there were some good players back then.
Cooper.
Yeah, Murray Cooper, the doyen of goal kicking. I mean, he's the Eagles.
Player,
isn't he? Is Murray Cooper still the Eagles goal kicking coach?
I don't think so. No, he's not. I spoke to him one day out there, and they had a reunion of that team, the 76 team, and I was at the ground that day, and and he said he doesn't do that anymore, but maybe he should.
Yeah, exactly. He's getting on a bit.
Yeah.
Austin Robertson, just as an aside, writes a column for the Subiaco Claremont Post, which is my local paper. And it's a fairly far-reaching column each week, but he has said that he's offered both times, at least twice a year, to West Coast and Fremantle to be the goal-kicking coach, voluntary, and they've knocked him back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, Ocker's 74. That's not too old. I mean, the basics of goal kicking, the mechanics of it stay the same, don't they, Rick?
Yeah. I went up to Swan Districts to get some photographs for a little boy who's in hospital from the Swan Districts boys, and they were terrific, including their coach Harding and the captain and so on. And guess who I ran into?
Percy.
A doyen of football commentators, Percy Johnson.
Yep.
I'm in real estate. I have been for 40 years, and the first person I ever sold a house to was Percy Johnson. And Percy's still involved in helping to coach at various levels. So, I mean, Percy must be very close to 80.
Oh, yeah. Well, he was the ruck coach at Aquinas College when my son was there, and, they still had respect for him.
Yeah, he's very good, Percy.
What else you got for us, Rick, in the waffle?
The Peel South Fremantle game, of course, is the last one that I saw. And, I didn't see that because I was too crook to go down there.
Oh, you couldn't go to that one either?
No.
Oh, gosh.
But I watched it on television, and I thought it was a terrific game. And Peel jumped out and got a 5 or 6 goal lead, and that was enough. South chased tail all day, but they ended up outscoring them in the last quarter and the last half, in fact. So all in all, it was pretty good. And of course, there's been the talk about it. And as you said earlier to Barrow, mate, it wouldn't have occurred if Freo had been in the finals. On the other hand, people like Mzungu and Matt de Boer and so on have played nearly all season with the Dockers. And the other thing is that I have great faith that the WA Football Commission and all the stakeholders will get together and produce a solution to a problem that's only been exposed by the lack of finals efforts by Fremantle. So I don't expect that to be there in the long term, and I think the system they have in Melbourne is probably the one that'll maybe take over.
Yeah, I think so. But as Adrian Barich said, I mean, Peel have got to get some local players back in again because their reserves and
I think
Colts
that's
aren't
what everyone
strong.
else, nearly everyone is more concerned about the players who couldn't play finals because of it, rather than the dominance of the Peel Footy Club.
Yep.
And that's, I mean, to play in a final at Waffle level is still a great achievement. And there'd be, I was talking to a fellow that's their district manager down there for the model, the junior model and so forth, and he said that there's been a number of the Peel team that are regulars have gone over to teams in the Peel competition, and they're getting paid $800 a game. So they're losing those that experience for the young kids coming on, and I don't know. We've got to get a better system, but I think that we've also got to take into account that every other side in the AFL has an affiliate club or a standalone club, and that we're involved in that, and we should be providing something to them, but we need their goodwill to make the whole thing work.
Well, albeit, Rick, we're going to watch two teams, regardless of the politics or AFL list or not, we're going to watch two teams play the grand final on Sunday. Is it Sunday? Yep, Sunday.
Yep.
I love Waffle Grand Final Day because I go for the Colts because I like to see the future stars. I go for the Rezzies because it's in between the Colts, but you see the old washed-up players, blah, blah, blah. I enjoy watching it. And then the grand final, I mean, I was there 2 years ago when Subi beat East Perth in that quagmire. Remember the rain that day?
Yep.
And East Perth were the raging favourites that day because they were with their listed players, their AFL, and they got home. So I'm on the Subi bandwagon. I expect them to get up. I think you can talk about the AFL players at Fremantle, they're battle-hardened, but they've had a long season. Subi, a bit like the AFL, with Subi are very fresh. Jared Schofield, I think, could be coaching. He should be an AFL assistant coach in the system for sure. And in a tight game, I believe Subi will get home.
Yes, I think it'll be good. I saw Subi and Peel play a couple of weeks ago down at Peel, and for 3/4, Subi trounced them, but they took their foot off the pedal and Peel came home. So I'm only hoping it's a lovely day like today and a lot of people go and watch it, because traditionally both clubs haven't got very big support bases. So encouraging everyone to try and get down there and hope it's just as good a grand final as the many that we've had in the past. And good luck to both teams.
Good luck to both teams. Dockers supporters will be coming out of the woodwork. There'll be a bit of purple there, I should expect. And, for a lot of them, like Tendai Mzungu, I don't know if he gets delisted, will he still play football next year? He'll probably go back to Perth as well. Dabua, I mean, as a Fremantle-listed player, there's a lot of players playing on Sunday afternoon that'll be their last game in the AFL system per se. I can't see Tendai Mzungu. Love the player, but he won't get picked up by an AFL club.
He's been my favourite Docker.
Yep.
I'm very surprised he's got where he is, because I've never seen him not put in or play not play a reasonable game. He's obviously been out of favour for some time. There must be something there, but I'd just wish him all the best in the future if he goes somewhere else. And I just heard you talking to Barra about Maine. Has he got a 4-year contract?
Yeah, Collingwood, apparently he's after a 4-year deal at Collingwood.
What's he on?
He's not on a lot of money. He was on fairly well paid at the no. Sorry, that went over my head. He was on fairly good money at the Dockers, I believe.
Oh yeah.
But no, 4-year deal. Collingwood also want Daniel Wells on a 3-year deal, and another regurgitated player. I don't know who that is. And now, if Collingwood go down that path, they will not make the finals either. They need to continue their youth policy. I mean, I'm totally against recycled players getting long-term contracts.
It used to happen in the AFL before the draft, and that started because they've compromised the draft. That sort of thing is sneaking in now, and all the wealthier clubs are going to pick up all the talent. Hawthorn has done it. Geelong has done it. Sydney do it every year. They have done it since Roos was there. They just keep, putting up their sides with extra couple of, reasonable recruits that have got 3 or 4 years in them. And I think that the Eagles and Dockers have got to learn that trick.
Yeah, well, I just don't see it. Anyhow, on the weekend, Rick, you'll be there in your official capacity.
Yes, I'll be there on Sunday. There's a dinner before the game, and I'll be talking to the masses, which will be good. It'll be a privilege and a pleasure to do so. And you were mentioning about the Perth Footy Club, and I just wanted to make one more mention that, I'm with you. They haven't been in any great stick since the 1970s. And I've said before they had a great president in Vince Pendle and a terrific young CEO in Marty Atkins. And it would be sad in some respects if they really come good and poor old Vince misses out on it because of the efforts and the work that he's put in for the Perth Footy Club. So Vale, Vince Pendle, terrific.
Yeah, I think on that note, we will close the show for today, but just your final word. It's Subi for me and for you.
I think the Dockers.
There you go. You said it in one.
I didn't mean to say that.
You said it in one, Ric.
I didn't mean to say that. I meant Peel. And I've rung up John Ditchburn and Rob Ryan, their president, and wished them all the best because I sincerely think that if Peel win it, no matter how it's won, it's a great fillip for the Peel district, and it'll help them in the years to come. It'll give them some credibility, and good luck to them, but also good luck to Subi. On the other hand, nobody likes a 4-pack.
That's been the Sports Files on the Sattler Files.
This is the Sattler Files.